Hey guys, I just am sitting here by my turtles and wanted to give you a quick testimony that happened to me this past week. So here in Kansas City, Ashley and I have a couple of really good friends, a young family, and they invited us to come hang out with them in their backyard and eat some ribs that they were going to grill. So we're sitting outside, we're eating, and they had been telling me about their neighbors. There's a couple of neighbors, young guys that live by them that they've been ministering to. Not believers, they'd been sharing the gospel with them and just kind of doing life with them, having them over for dinner and sitting out by the fire in the fire pit in the backyard. So as we're sitting there eating, those young men arrive at home and they're parking and we could see them from the backyard where we're at. And my friend calls out to him, "Hey, do you want to come and have dinner with us? We got ribs." They're like, "Yeah, we're coming." One of the guys that my friend had been ministering to had been really being touched and little by little had been looking more into the Bible and into the validity of Jesus Christ and the gospel. The other guy had been a little more resistant to it and more confident in his own beliefs about who God is and his relationship with God. And as they both were coming up, the one guy who had his own kind of view about God, he's coming up and he's just letting me know immediately, "Hey, I'm perfect. I don't got to change. Other people got to change, but I'm perfect." And at the time, I really just thought he was maybe thinking in terms that, sure, maybe he thinks he is. So we sat there and we talked, and throughout the conversation, the one guy had been really open to what we were saying, and the other guy was more interested in chiming in with his view about God, and we were being cool. We weren't being disrespectful or mean or anything, and he would talk and we would listen, but he was very resistant in general to the idea that Jesus is the only way to the Father. And at one point, he was talking to my friend, and he's like, "You're a really cool guy." He's like, "Somebody like you must have really found Jesus." And then he turns to me and he says, "So what about you? How did you come to know Jesus?" And he's kind of half joking, but I began to tell him my testimony. I spent the time sharing basically what I used to believe about various views about God and who's to say which one is right, and the sort of mysticism that I used to believe in. And I told him that even though I had had really profound encounters following this other belief system, there was always this lack. And I shared with him how I had a very profound encounter experiencing God as a person, as God himself, the God of the Bible, the God of Jesus Christ, and how in the moment that I experienced him, he spoke to me and he said, "You do not know me, but I want you to know me." And how that's when I began to change things in my life. I began to step away from the music that I was playing and the things I used to do and even the people I used to hang out with. And I began seeking Jesus as God himself, and how my life changed at that moment and had never really been the same. And so as I'm telling the story, the one guy who had been opening himself up to the Bible and to Jesus, he began to ask questions about specific details I was saying. He was really inquisitive and wanting to know. But the other guy, who had been talking a lot before, he remained very quiet. His eyes were fixed on me, and I could tell that he was being really impacted. And at the end of it, he said, "People could make stuff like that up, but I believe you." He said, "I believe that you encountered Jesus Christ, and what you're saying is true." And I was just so thankful that the Lord was softening his heart to hear it, because he came off as a very hardcore person that was not going to listen to what I had to say. And I didn't feel right about shoving my opinions down his throat. I wanted to share my experience, my testimony with him, and share the love of Christ and be patient with him. And I found that to be very fruitful, because he explained afterward, he said, "When I came up here, the reason I said I was perfect is the same reason I tell everyone that I'm perfect." He said, "It's not actually because I think I'm perfect. I'm just letting you know I'm putting my wall up. And if you come at me and you're trying to break me down, then I already know I'm not going to listen to you. Instead, you welcomed me. And even though I was saying that, you didn't bash me, you didn't come against me, but you respected me." And he said that really impacted him and helped him to receive what I had to say. Now, unfortunately, I had to wrap up that night pretty quick because I had a set that I was playing at the prayer room. But I told them the finality of the gospel, and I told them, "Look, I'm not honestly here to share stories with you. My main reason in sharing that is actually that you would know Jesus Christ yourself." I said, "Jesus is the only way to the Father. No one comes to salvation except through Jesus and the blood that he shed as the atoning sacrifice for the sin of man." And I said, "He really loves you. He doesn't just want me to encounter him. He wants you to know him. So I encourage you, as you're going home tonight and Borin's not around and my friend and no one else is with you, I said, when you're by yourself, pray. Ask Jesus, hey, this man was talking about you. If you're there, if you're listening, and those things are true, what he said, then I need you to reveal it to me. I said, listen, he's coming back. He's bringing a kingdom, and he has a place for you in that kingdom. I said, all the pain that you've been feeling, all the reasons that you feel you have to put up walls, all the sorrow you felt, there's not going to be that anymore. It's going to be eliminated. He's going to wipe every tear away. There will be no more pain, no more sickness, no more lack. It'll be joy and peace increasing forever. And then I had to leave. So I left him with that thought. I prayed for him. I told him I was so happy to meet them both. And the next day, I actually had a last minute kind of opportunity to swing by that evening to my friend's house. And he said, hey, they're actually building a fire at the fire pit. And I was only there briefly, but I was able to share some more with those two and another person that had joined. And it was really awesome because there was a third person there who was a different neighbor from a different house who had very different beliefs, did not believe that Jesus Christ was the only way and was very clear about that. Wasn't mean or anything, but we just had very sincere discussions at the fireplace. And it was really interesting because the young man that had been saying that he was perfect, but then had been saying that he believed what I said, he was actually not being swayed by this other guy's point of view, wasn't delving into the same kind of philosophical things. And instead, while I was sharing the truth about the gospel with this newer neighbor, he was very supportive of what I was saying. I was very encouraged by that. And one of the things that we had been praying for with my friend and his neighbors was that these neighbors, as they hear the gospel and as they're doing life with my friend, their neighbor, that they would actually come to church with him on a Sunday morning. And so as I was wrapping up that final night there at the fire pit, the young man that had been originally resistant, he turned to me and said, hey, am I going to see you tomorrow? And I thought, wait, tomorrow? I said, what's tomorrow? And he said, church. Are you coming to church with us? And I was so touched by that. I personally wasn't. I actually was having to leave so that I could prepare for a worship service that I was playing for a different church that Sunday morning. But I was so moved that he actually was saying, hey, I'm going to church. I just told him, I was like, no, I'm not going to be there, but that's amazing. And I said, brother, you are not going to regret it. He said, I know I won't. He said, I've been feeling it's time for me to jump in. It's time for me to jump in. And I was just so moved by that. And my friend and I were texting back and forth. Apparently, both of the young men went. One of the young men's fathers actually came as well. And they're being really impacted. Jesus is giving them encounters to show them who he is by the seeds that my friend has been sowing and that I've been able to come in and water a little bit. So I just wanted to share that testimony with you guys and ask you to pray for them. I'm not giving their names out, but I gave enough detail that you could pray for them, and the Lord knows exactly who they are. But it's just amazing to see them. They're two wonderful young men. They've got a lot of battle wounds. They got a lot of things that they're carrying from, the weight of this world. But they are really being touched by Jesus, and he is changing their lives. And not just changing their lives for here and now, but changing them forever. So be praying for them, and I so appreciate it. We're doing this together. So exciting to see fruit from our labors. So be praying, be believing, and I can't wait to see more of what the Lord is doing in their lives. Bless you guys. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your partnership. Can't do this stuff without you, and yet at the same time, God's doing it all himself. It's such an awesome thing to see him at work and to see him using the body to bring about his purposes, working with us, laboring with us to accomplish his plans and purposes. Bless you guys. Love you so much.